Okay, guys, this is Moshe coming to you from Israel in the Galilee. Today is the 5th of June. It's Thursday. It's about 7:38 in the morning. It's going to be a little hot today. We're going to have 92, low is 66, and pretty much the same tomorrow. Then it starts dropping. Saturday's 89, then 87, 86, and that kind of thing. Pretty seasonal weather, sort of, kind of. Okay, so what we're going to cover today is what the UN Security Council did and how America vetoed it. We're going to cover this Greta Thurman and her 30-foot sailboat coming to Gaza to break the blockade, and we're going to cover what's going on with Russia and Ukraine and Trump. And the most important thing we're going to cover is what's going on with Iran. And then secondary to that is Yemen and Gaza. And I'm again cautioning you people, it's nice to follow the Ukraine-Russia war, and I do, and I report on it, but that's not where your emphasis should be. It should be on Israel and the Middle East and Israel, not just the Middle East, Israel. That's what's going to trigger end times events, not Russia and Ukraine. Okay? And it's rather obvious to anybody that wants to think out of the box that Russia they were fraudulently purporting a major power to us to be Russia, which is no major power. And I'm also telling you, America has been frauded to us as a big major power, and it ain't such a big major power anymore, as evidenced by what happened with them and the Houthis in Yemen and how they're dealing with Iran. Okay? Trump's scared to death about having a fight with Iran. But he's got himself painted into a corner. If he doesn't do something with Iran, they're going to say that Trump is afraid of us. He's really too weak for us. And then they're going to attack America. Why? America puts sanctions on them. America stops them from controlling the Middle East and conquering the other countries and taking their oil over. America has sanctions on them. They hate America. America supports Israel. They hate America. They'll attack America. You got to get this straight. I don't think Trump and the Pentagon are astute enough to know this. I really don't believe they know it. But they're going to get themselves attacked if they don't attack. And if they do attack, they're going to get themselves counterattacked. They got themselves painted into a corner, and the only way they're going to get out of this is fighting, period. And Trump's afraid to do that. Probably because the military ain't so up to snuff. Yeah, they got plenty of fighter jets and warships and submarines and all that stuff, but it takes more than just the physical equipment. It's deeper than that. And it runs deeper. So I wouldn't be too quick. Okay. I'm going to go into the live stream and make sure we got a live stream. Where's my sound? Where's my sound? Oh, I got it. Okay, it's just a buffering delay or something. I got my moderators here. Thank you so much. Let me get my posts up. I got it set for cut and paste. It's a lot faster that way. It's getting hot in here. What do? I don't know yet. Figure something out. Okay, that's done. So, being a Bible believing site, I'm going to do some praise. There is no God like Jehovah. 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 There is no Messiah like Yeshua. 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 All right, let's start with Iran. Iran completely turned down all this nuclear treaty business with Trump. They said that, they're going to completely dedicate themselves to making uranium, okay? And they're going to do it. They're not going to stop doing it. They're not going to shut the reactors and blah, 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 blah. And they have not agreed. I'm going to open the door. They have not agreed, as far as I can tell, to go to any more meetings where they'll be discussing nuclear treaty and things of this nature with America. So I don't believe they're wasting their time with that anymore. I think what they did is they managed to buy themselves, 8 or 10 weeks, and that's what they needed to fortify their missile cities, rebuild their radars, and fortify their nuclear facilities, and now they're ready to have a war with America and Israel if it happens. Believe me, they're ready, okay? So that leaves us with trying to figure out what Trump does. I'm telling you, if people don't understand the Middle East, but if Trump does anything, he will be in a war with Iran. If he does nothing, he will be in a war with Iran. What Trump could do to possibly stop a war with Iran would be the following: withdraw military forces from the Middle East completely, all the countries, all 58,000 soldiers in 5 or 6 countries, just pull all the military out of Diego Garcia and everything else, go back to America or wherever else he wants to put them. Okay? End all the sanctions against Iran, return all the money he froze to them, and tell Iran he's looking forward to having a new, nice, bright future with them. And of course, Iran will come shake his hand and tell him that this is a new era for America, and of course, stab America in the back eventually. Now, we know Trump's not going to do anything of the sort. Okay, like that. So, what we're seeing Trump do is just kind of withdrawal. Okay? You must understand Trump is scared to death over this war. Not scared a little, scared to death. When Trump was campaigning, I heard him say there could be up to 30 million illegal aliens in the United States, and he recognized the sleeper agent factor, which, depending who you talk to, is between 60 and 70%. Let's take Trump's number, 30 million, cut it in half. Let's cut it in half again. 7 million, 7.5 million. Okay? 70% is about 5 million of those are sleeper agents, military age single males that came by themselves. Now I cut it in half twice just to show you how bad it is. Okay? Let's say I cut it in half again. You got 2.5 million. You know that's bigger than the entire military of the United States. And that's one big reason why Trump is scared. He never talked about the sleeper agents again since he became president. How many illegal aliens has he managed to get out of America so far to date? Probably 500,000-600,000, maybe less. The figure was 30 million, guys. Did Trump stop the flow of these illegal aliens from coming into the United States? Oh, you bet he did. Yeah, he was successful at that. Yeah, he probably got him stopped by 98%. But the cows already left the barn, guys. The other day, Iran said they're going to activate their sleeper agents in America and UK. You think they were kidding? They're not kidding. Do you think that this is what Trump is truly scared of? Yeah. Oh, he's got other problems, the way Iran fights unconventional warfare with container ships that shoot drones and missiles and go fast boats and, stuff like that. But in the middle of all this, you still have Iran with missiles and drones like all the other countries and using radar and everything else, right? The soldiers have tanks and rifles, They're not that, out there. Trump is scared to death of Iran because they can inflict so much damage on America that he is petrified. The other thing I want to tell you, and I don't know how real of a threat this is, but Trump has a lot of real estate properties around the world. And if war breaks out, they could very likely start doing terrorism on the Trump properties outside of America, causing people to not want to be there. And the value of the property goes down by half or more. I don't know if that's really bothering Trump very much. It's just the thought that comes to mind. And the reality is Trump may not care about that because he's making so much money for his family as president that it's chicken feed to him, I think. And he probably has pretty good insurance coverage and stuff. I'm not so sure that's real. It could be, but... And we know what's going to happen in Bible prophecy. Revelation 17, the last verse. The whore is that great city. That's Washington, D.C. It's not part of the United States, it's a city. That's right. It's not in any of the 50 states. It's a city that happens to be the capital that's named after an idol, Columbia. The Columbia Motion Pictures icon, the Statue of Liberty, the stupid woman with the bird on her head on the roof of the Capitol building, all this sick stuff. That's who it's named after. Washington District of Columbia. And they name it after the Mason, George Washington. What a country, I tell you. So, does Trump have a lot of fighter jets and aircraft carriers and submarine? Yeah. How are they going to fight sleeper agents? Bomb America? See what I'm saying? What about the 16,000 FBI agents? Well, I'm sure they'll direct energy towards this, but the reality is probably 5 or 10 million sleeper agents inside America that were built up over the years. 16,000 FBI agents and another 30 or 40,000 other federal agents from other agencies is a drop in the bucket. And a lot of these characters are not trained in this. They're trained in other areas. They do drugs. They do all kinds of things. Taxes. They're not, anti-terrorist agents. Remember, American aircraft carrier, the Truman, came back damaged. It lost 2 or 3 F-15s or F-18s, whatever they were, fighter jets and stuff like that. The aircraft carriers aren't holding up against Yemen, and of course, by implication, not going to hold up against Iran either. And by implication, they're not going to hold up against China or as well, I would say, and possibly not even against North Korea. Now, we know the end of Iran in Bible prophecy from Jeremiah 49, where it's referred to as Elam, E-L-A-M. It gets devastated so badly, people have to leave and scatter into all the other countries of the world where the sword follows them and they get cut off. And that makes me think that the entire infrastructure fails, so they can't live there anymore. And that, to me, makes sense, because I don't know how Israel and or America and or other countries would be able to knock out the nuclear facilities. And why would they even want to start there? There's no nuclear threat. They got to start with the missile cities, the ships that launch missiles and drones, and to get to that, they need to take out the radar. And that's where they need to focus. Okay, first the radar, then the missile launching capability, and then when they finish with that and they get rid of the warships, then they can worry about nuclear facilities or whatever, chicken coops, whatever, okay? So what does Trump do? Well, the first thing Trump's going to try to do is schedule more negotiations. Now, there's rumors flying around that Trump is going to allow Iran to make a stupid deal and say, well, you can have your reactors, but you got to only make low-grade uranium, knowing that the Iranians will break that word and continue to make high-grade uranium. That's a way for Trump to save face, partially, but he has to still deal with the 200 members of Congress that wrote him a letter signed by 200 members of Congress stating they're not going to accept any kind of a treaty other than the dismantling of the nuclear facilities. See, Congress has to ratify the treaty. Trump can't just do it on his own. He could try with an executive order, but I don't think he would try that. These are probably the last days of the daughter of Babylon. Now, Trump may wind up getting assassinated. I've told you that before from a prophecy. It's a possibility, I would say, but we'll have to see. The only friend America has left right now in the world is America. Now, they went to the UN Security Council, 15 members, and 14 voted for an immediate ceasefire with Gaza. That meant they were going to demand Israel stop fighting in Gaza. What would that mean? It means the hostages don't get returned. They had no stipulation for returning the hostages. And it means Hamas stays in power and they stay in Gaza and they don't demilitarize. And they basically would declare a victory. Now, this happened, but Trump vetoed it. Now, you have to understand this living, breathing moron, Netanyahu, is dragging the war out for his own purposes politically because of his criminal trials. And the reason this happened is because that living, breathing garbage bucket won't persecute the war effectively because he's afraid that he needs an other war to keep out of court. So if he can get something going with the Iranians, then he might actually persecute the Gaza war. But he is a true enemy of the state of Israel, and a lot of people realize it. Now, the ultra-Orthodox party, Shas and United Torah Judaism, are making plans to do a vote of no confidence against Netanyahu, and that does not mean they're going to kick Netanyahu out of the prime minister's office, but he might. A lot of the people in Israel are afraid, which to me is stupid. Netanyahu's our worst enemy. I mean, he let Gaza happen. He's horrible. And they want to keep him there because they're afraid of change. Well, the problem is, who are they going to change him with? Another Satan bot? Who's God going to change him with? The two judges, the two witnesses. That's what's going to happen. That's when we're going to have a good victory, not with some other Satan bot jackass taking Netanyahu's place. It's just going to be, everything's going to be great. You watch and see it. It's going to be more of the same old crap. It always is that way. It always is. In every country. They're all Satan bots. Okay? So don't expect anything to happen that's worthwhile. Although getting rid of Netanyahu would be useful. I don't know who the heck they're going to put in his place, but believe me, it's going to be another nightmare. The next one may persecute the war more fully and end it. I mean, I think it could end in 10 days or less, maybe a week, and it persecute the war more fully and bring it to an end. Probably not just give them victory and let them live there. But Netanyahu's just dragging it out. You must understand that, okay? That's all he's doing. So we had the shooting of missiles from Syria the other day. It turns out that in southern Syria, the IRGC soldiers, these are the Iranian soldiers that were in Syria under Bashar Assad, many of them fled to Iraq and eventually went back to Iran, I suppose. But some of them in the south stayed there because this new government in Syria doesn't have a lot of strength in the south, okay? they are not strong, so they stayed there, and they actually launched at us. Hold on, I gotta do something real quick here. There were two missiles, and they went into the Golan Heights, and they didn't hurt anybody or anything uh, like that. Okay. Sorry about that. So after they attacked us, we attacked various weapons storehouses, you could call them, inside southern Syria. And then after that, there was some attacks in southern Syria yesterday that we did not do. So the IRGC is apparently gotten strong enough to attack the HTS government, the Giuliani government in Syria. They would have been the ones that did it, the IRGC, not Israel. Because Israel would have said, we did it. They said, no, we didn't do it. So that's an interesting development. Iran is trying to move into Syria while America is moving their bases out of Syria. Can you see the connection here? Of course you can. Is Turkey, which is in central Syria, going to fight against Iran? Doubt it. Israel's in southern Syria. They're not going to fight against Iran per se, but like they're going to keep bombing installations that they could identify belong to the IRGC, weapons depots and things like that. They may start killing IRGC also, depending what the IRGC does. If they just stay there, Israel's fine, let them stay there. If they just stay there and attack the HTS government, Israel's going to say, well, I wish them both success in their fight with each other, you know. So, you know, it's gonna look like that. But if they start trying to do launches against Israel, there's going to be lots and lots of airstrikes until that stops. Now, Israel's still not stopped the Houthis. I don't think they're really got clarity as to what to do about it. There was an incident with this British warship, I think it was the aircraft carrier, that wanted to pass by Yemen in the Red Sea. And they asked Yemen for permission, the Houthis, and the Houthis gave them some instructions which they complied with completely, and they were allowed to pass by without getting attacked. America essentially surrendered to the Houthis, okay? And if they did that, is Trump really going to fight Iran? Well, I don't know. Trump may just ignore the whole thing. I'll tell you one thing, though. You got to understand, Iran's going to attack America. As long as America keeps imposing sanctions and harassing Iran like this, they're going to attack America. So they want to get rid of the sanctions. They want to get America off their back. And they see fear. They smell blood. The only way Trump's going to deter Iran from that is to hit them hard. Not blow a few radars up. Not drop a couple of bombs on nuclear facilities. I mean, massive attack, like 3,200 bombs and various targets or something like that, destroying warships. Trump ain't going to do nothing of the sort. It's time for the daughter of Babylon to go away. That's where we're getting with this, okay? That's it. And it's time for Iran to go away, and it's time for Yemen to go away. They both go away in Jeremiah 49. It appears Israel does take care of Yemen, and Elam, which is Iran and possibly Iraq and parts of Syria, and the IRGC's in Syria, they're in Iraq. Iraq's an ally in there, so you can get the picture, right? They get destroyed by their enemies. So it's possible America does nothing, and maybe Israel attacks Iran, and then Iran attacks the other countries in the region and the American bases, which are in Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, attacks these bases, probably with the help of the Houthis. And these nations and others decide to rise up against Iran. And it says enemies, that could be 2 or 3, it could also be 8 or 9. And just wipe it out, okay? So we got to see. Now, without radar, as far as I could tell, they're not going to be able to deliver missiles into Israel with any kind of accuracy. So one of the most essential things we have to do is knock down the over-the-horizon radar and make sure there's no ships that could guide missiles or anything like that, which I'm sure Israel is capable of doing. And we got to watch that. Now, with Ukraine and Russia, I mean, what's going to happen? Russia's going to counterattack Ukraine. Big deal. 3 years all over again. It's just on a continuous loop, okay? And then Ukraine attacks them, and then they counterattack. Is Russia really going to start a fight with NATO like they tell you in the media? Are you crazy? Why would they do that? He can't even handle Ukraine. 40 fighter bombers got taken out the other day. Then right after that, a pillar of the Kerch Bridge, a very, very important bridge to them, was taken out by an undersea drone by Ukraine. Now, you think he's going to try to attack all of NATO now when he can't handle Ukraine? Why do you listen to these idiots that want to sell you iodine pills and powdered food and, crap like that? What do you listen to them for? They don't know what they're talking about. They're just here to scare you. Oh, there's going to be a nuclear war in Iran. No, there's not. What Putin's not going to do much except the same thing. Putin's hoping that China gets into disarray with America, perhaps over North and South Korea, or Japan, or Taiwan, or Australia, or the Philippines, or all the above, and Guam, and decides to get active and help Russia fight America. Something like that. And then North Korea, and then they got Belarus and Iran, and they all get together. And that's what's going to happen when America gets destroyed. And it will get destroyed. It's in Jeremiah 50:51, Isaiah 47. And the church people fail to deny it because America's got the churches. They don't have the clue as to what's going on. And, that's what's going to happen. And it's getting very, very close to the time frame now. Okay? Iran is not going to just go away because Trump's not enforcing a nuclear treaty on them. No, Trump has put bad sanctions on them. And somebody blew that port up in Iran and other facilities, and they know that. It's either Israel or America. It's most likely Israel. And they are not happy and they can't function correctly. And what China and North Korea and Russia want to see Iran do is control the oil in the Middle East because you can influence the world rather heavily. And Iran is nuts, and they might attack the oil refineries and ports and piers used to offload oil in the Middle Eastern countries, and they don't even have to. They can shut the Straits of Hormuz with Navy sea mines and stop the oil from moving in and out of the Persian Gulf that way. They don't even have to attack anybody. 40 or 50 mines would do it, but they'd probably go for 200 or 300. But there's going to be some big event that's going to cause Iran to get attacked, okay? That's what's going to happen. All right? That's what it looks like to me. That's where your attention should be, and also on Yemen. But I'm not saying ignore Ukraine and Russia. No, you don't ignore it. You pay close attention to it, but it goes. There's other things that are more critical than that. Okay, we got a follow-up prayer for PC, Papa Charlie, PC. Follow-up prayer for PC for the blood pressure to get normalized and to get a better quality of sleep. So for BP, blood pressure to be normalized and to sleep better. I did get a comment that the pain did improve, get better. Not worse. I mean, reduce. Get better means reduce pain. Okay, pain reduction. All right, so that's the prayer request there. Now, do I have any more prayer requests? This is something I gotta check. Yeah, we do. Let's see. Okay, we got a prayer request for VWS. I'm getting 3 initials here. Victor Whiskey Sierra. VWS, Victor Whiskey Sierra. Prayer for numbness and feeling to return to the hands. So this is for VWS, Victor Whiskey Sierra, prayer request for numbness to go away and feeling to return to the hands. Okay. Next is for JB, Jack Bravo, JB, Jack Bravo. Blood pressure normalization. So it's another blood pressure prayer. For JB, Jack Bravo, blood pressure normalization. And for DS, Delta Sierra DS, Delta Sierra, asking for full body healing for Delta Sierra. Okay, that's our prayer request. Now, what did Trump do as a result of those Colorado attacks? He's stopping or limiting entry of foreign nationals from 12 countries into America: Afghanistan, Myanmar, Chad, Congo, Equatorial Guinea, Eritrea, Haiti, Iran, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and Yemen. In addition, he doesn't want entry of people from 7 other countries. I think this is maybe a little less restricted, I'm not sure. These 7 other countries are Burundi, Cuba, Laos, Sierra Leone, Togo, Turkmenistan, and Venezuela. They'll be particularly restricted, but maybe not as much as the other 12. The other 12, I think, is absolute. The U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the that was the vetoing of the Gaza ceasefire demand that fell apart. The vice president of Yemen, now this is, I think, a real cock and bull story. The vice president of Yemen is saying that they're getting ready for a ground invasion against the Houthis to take back parts of Yemen, like Sana'a, the capital which the Houthis control. And they say they recruited 10,000 soldiers to do this. I think this is just a cock and bull story. I don't think the existing Yemen government is ever going to go to war against them any more than the existing Lebanese government went to war against Hezbollah. Still has never happened. And I don't think it ever will with the Houthis in Yemen. It's just, you're just getting a story for whatever propaganda value they think it might be worth. They say they're preparing for a big campaign. Yeah, sure. I don't expect you'll see that. They said they have trained 10,000 soldiers since the beginning of the year, and blah, blah, blah. This comes from the Grand Mufti of the Sultanate of Oman, Sheikh Ahmed al-Khalili or something, I don't know. Britain requested permission from Yemen to allow its ship to pass through, and they did, but they imposed conditions which Yemen agreed to, which Britain agreed to. So, um, pretty interesting. Canada's got very bad fires, and the smoke is getting into the east coast of the United States now. That's becoming rather kind of tragic, problematic, whatever words you want to select. Let me see if I could look at a fire map as to what's going on here. I haven't done that in a while. Let me see if I can get my. I have it here somewhere. Let me see what I can find. I don't know. This spell check thing just makes more work, I think. Oh, gosh. Let me try voice. Firemap.live. Let's see if I can get it. I think I got it finally. Okay. Let me get over to America and see if I can see anything interesting. Europe seems to have a bunch of fires. I don't see that much going on in America, to be honest with you. I see a bunch in Canada by the Pacific and in kind of northwestern-ish Canada, but I'm not seeing a lot in America. There's some in Europe, but it's not overwhelming. So I don't think we're at anywhere near a peak of I will kindle fires in and about your city. That happens after the attack on America. Iran knows by defying Trump they might get attacked from Israel or America, and apparently they're ready for it. If they could win against America, they feel quite strongly they could create a caliphate inside the Middle East, which would include Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, UAE, Oman, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and they would conquer these places and they would, um, overthrow the government or make them into puppets. And control the oil, and the oil prices would go up, and they would, you know, just feed the oil into bricks and use bricks to break America and, you know, stuff like that. It's not going to play out that way, but that would be their plan. They got a plan. They're just not jumping blindly. They danced with America, dragging things out till they could accomplish what they needed to militarily, and they did. And now they're ready to tell America to drop dead, which they just did yesterday, basically. It came out that this moron Netanyahu was actually spending uh, many millions of dollars on humanitarian aid in Gaza of our money. What a piece of garbage. I tell you, I have no words for this guy, this thing. Mental case supreme. There's going to be a day when America's not going to back Israel like it did in the UN Security Council yesterday. And that could be an assassination on Trump. Bear that in mind. Maybe not, but it could be. A federal judge in Colorado, a Biden appointee, blocked Trump's plan to deport the wife and 5 children of Boulder terrorist suspect, the Egyptian guy Mohammed Solomon or something, I don't know. That's the type of stuff Trump's pretty much used to. It just keeps going on. Netanyahu is still moving the Gazans in and out of North Gaza. I don't know how the heck he moved them out of North Gaza and then they came back to North Gaza, unless he let them back in or some darn thing. I don't know. I don't know with that idiot. I'm checking social media to see if we had any very recent developments. Um, what's going on here? A headline: The war in Gaza is finally threatening Netanyahu's hold on power. Well, maybe. The ultra-Orthodox may not be serious about dumping the coalition with Netanyahu. They might just be doing this whole thing to scare Netanyahu. But I don't think Netanyahu can do anything to help them. So they might realize this, and then they might realize no other political party can help them either, but they're unlikely to do that and say, oh, well, our guys are just going to have to go fight the war in Gaza. They're not going to do that. So they're going to try to do something against Netanyahu, I think. They still haven't opened up the Gaza food distribution situation in Gaza. They're trying to revamp it, and it was supposed to open today, and I don't think it's opening this morning anyway. Maybe later in the day, I don't know. But they're trying to improve it to stop the stealing and shooting rifles in the air to intimidate people getting food and things of this nature. So it's not, you know, a good situation. Let me see what's going on in the live stream here. Trump should rule the world. Trump has actually been highly ineffective, guys. Think about it. What happened with Greenland? Are they a state? Is Mexico a state? Is Canada a state? Is he getting anywhere with his tariff wars? No, 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 no. Did he ever get rid of Obamacare, which he promised in his first term? No. The guy's one letdown after another. Why don't you see it? I'm giving you very objective information. Somebody wants a prayer for a move to Mexico. Somebody named Chandra wants prayers for a move to Mexico. Okay. If I were you, I wouldn't go to Mexico or any other country from Texas to Argentina, but that's my opinion. The Mexican in prophecy, Mexico is going to storm walls, the border walls, and break into America and probably murder and loot and plunder and pillage. So it may be the cartels and the Mexican army doing it. And, you know, I wouldn't go to Mexico. I wouldn't go anywhere in South or Central America. And actually, technically, Mexico is North America, but, you know, I wouldn't go there. Well, I don't seem to see any other news, but we did cover quite a bit. So the whole thing right now is to watch what Israel does about Iran and what America does about Iran. And like I say, Trump's knee-jerk reaction is going to be to try to make things look good and suck Iran into another meeting someplace, which is going to be fruitless, and stall Israel from attacking Iran. And just Trump will keep playing the I hope, I hope, I hope game. On the Iron Beam, our laser defense systems, Raphael Industries, the Israeli private contractor, has come out and said they've tested it against Hezbollah weapons 40 times up at the north, and it was successful, and they're marketing them. They have several versions. They have more or less a permanent version. So if you had, let's say you wanted to protect the Knesset building, right, in Jerusalem, so you'd mount 2 of them or 3 of them around the Knesset building, then they would be there permanently, and they would take down drones, missiles. They could take down anti-tank missiles, you know, RPG type things and stuff, using a laser. And it costs, just taking a guess, maybe $1, $2, or $3 or $4 a shot, let's say between $1 and $5 a shot, instead of $200,000 when you shoot two missiles from the Iron Dome. It's chicken feed. Okay, it's an electric bill. That's all it takes. Then they have one that can go mobile, so it's like truck mounted iron beam. Um, Magan ore, shield ore is light shield, but it's a laser. So it goes on a truck, so it can be driven around as the need arises. You can bring it to different locations. Then they have another version that goes on an armored personnel carrier. So that's an armored vehicle that could hold maybe as many as 12 guys, and drives them into battle position with armor, and then they deploy and hold a location or whatever, right? Um, and it can protect them, uh, especially against anti-tank weapons, shoulder-fired anti-tank weapons. So it's a plus there. And then they have a nautical or a navy model that can be mounted on a ship. Oh, I mean, it's the same thing mounting it on a truck or permanently in a building on the roof or something, and mounting it on a ship. It's the same thing. The ship has enough of a generator, or the device comes with a generator to bring up the amount of electricity required to fire the laser. And that's all it is. So Raphael Industry is gone to a weapons show. I forgot where, maybe in Europe, and they're taking orders for these things. Um, they're going to cost millions, I'm sure, but you don't have to spend money on the consumables like with an Iron Dome. You fire two at a time, that's 200,000, 100,000 times two in dollars. So for the firing of two Iron Dome missiles, you probably, for that amount of money, you could run all the iron beams, the laser weapons, all over Israel for a whole year and probably never spend $200,000 on consumables. You know, it might be as little as $1 to fire a shot with that. Okay, it's a close range weapon. It goes several kilometers. It's not for long range use, you know, but it's highly efficient. Now, when Trump talks about his Golden Dome, what the heck do you think Trump's going to put in there but the iron beam, the laser weapon? He's going to get it from Israel, or he's probably already gotten it. But he's on a 3-year time frame for the Golden Dome, okay? But I'm sure he's going to be using our laser. Our laser is going to be a very, very advanced system. And yeah, Israel will probably sell a bunch of them. If prophetic time allowed, which it didn't, it would probably change the face of drone and missile defenses. If Israel had 100 of these in operation, which they might have 10 or 15 or something, I don't know. They don't have 100, I don't think. If they did, then they might be able to sit there all day and shoot down Iranian missiles and drones and Houthi drones and missiles and stuff like that. I don't know. It also will be a big plus because it could help tremendously on Navy warships, like with aircraft carriers. You know, American aircraft carriers would probably like to put 4 of these on their aircraft carrier would help them defend the aircraft carrier, maybe 6 or 8 even, so it could handle swarm attacks, you know. You got to remember, you don't have to bring, you know, 200 anti-aircraft missiles with you to feed your anti-aircraft system. You just put these things up on the deck. You got to make sure that the boat could power the generators, which an aircraft carrier, nuclear powered, can power all sorts of generators. There's no issue. It could probably run 10 or 12 of these lasers if it wanted to, you know, but I don't think they have to. Probably 4 would do it, you know, maybe 6 or something, I don't know. They might have one facing forward, one facing rear, one facing either side, and then put one on the extreme rear of the boat and one in the extreme front of the boat or something, you know. They could also sell these. These are not offensive weapons, okay? You can't attack somebody with the laser. So they could, you know, sell them to, I don't know who, I'm just trying to think, would a cruise line buy it? Nah, they don't have that kind of a threat. I don't know who would buy it for civilian use. Can't think of anybody that it would work for. It's just for governments. I think a lot of countries are still going to want to see this iron beam more proven in battle before they start buying it like crazy. But it's probably going to bring a lot of money into Israel. And Israel's going to be very selective who they sell it to. They're not going to want to see Iran and China get their hands on it and then make their own. So we need to be watching very carefully about a vote of no confidence for Netanyahu. If they do the vote of no confidence because we're in war, probably within a day or 2 or 3 at the most, they would have the vote in the Knesset to see if they have another player that can summon 61 votes and thus get their own prime minister in play. Netanyahu may, you know, lose initially to vote of no confidence and then a day or 2 or 3 later bounce back and get it back again. That could happen. If nobody can get together the 61 votes, then they would take some time to let the people or get organized, and then Netanyahu would revert to being the caretaker where he can't really initiate any legislation or do much of anything, but he would be able to run the wars. That he would be able to do just like he does today. That power wouldn't be diminished. So you're still stuck with this piece of garbage. That could still happen. And it might drag on for a month or something like that. But we don't see the government in Malachi 3 operating as a government. We see some of these people getting punished in Malachi 4. And we see them getting punished in Ezekiel 34, the same thing. And we see the 2/3 getting cut off in Zechariah 13, verses 8 and 9. The bad ones, but we don't see in Zechariah 12, with the siege in place, the government operating anymore. Nor do we see the IDF operating anymore. So the deliverance is coming from the 2 witnesses, not from the IDF or the Israeli government. And So it's $1 million question. What happens? Are they gone? How did they get gone? Do they submit to the two witnesses? We're in the dark. We don't know a whole lot. We know how it ends. The enemies get burned up on the right hand and on the left hand by the two witnesses. That we know. Okay? And we know that we see the appearing of the sign of the Son of Man, and before that he pours the Spirit out on Jerusalem and the house of David. So they're believers and they get the everlasting life. And we know Revelation 1:7, every eye shall see him. But not everybody's going to get the everlasting life, just those that were believers when they saw him. So, and he also is going to do that to the Israelites. So I imagine the Spirit will be poured out on them around the world too, and they'll receive everlasting life when this happens. Or maybe they don't, and that's why they fall away, because they don't have the everlasting life. I can't find the specific scripture. Well, there is. No, it is. Yeah, they get everlasting life. No, they do. I believe they do. They do. And that doesn't mean you're immortal. It means you live a very long time, like pre-flood or something. But they can fall away, and they do. So Iran may have a very critical role in attacking the United States. And then after that happens, maybe her enemies destroy her, because she doesn't stop at just attacking the United States. She goes after other countries or something. Or I don't know what. Goes after the Middle East oil countries, and they all gang up on her. I don't know. But it's not the two witnesses that take out Iran. It's her enemies. Okay? Now with Yemen, that could be another story, because Israel takes out Yemen. So the situation right now is rather fluid, and it's not simplex, it's rather complex. And the Satan-bought survivalist fearmongers are directing your attention to Ukraine and Russia. And that doesn't make them all evil, because that's really, they don't know any better, and that's what's scaring them. Russia's going to declare war on Europe. Oh, come on. Can't even fight Ukraine. How the heck is he going to declare war on Europe? Come on. Or NATO. Come on. So, we're getting there, guys. We're getting there. I suggest you pray that God unleashes the two witnesses, because that's going to give us a lot. And it's very likely they'll allow for you guys to come, that have the true gospel, to come to Israel. It's a possibility. I can't say for sure. It's a possibility. So that might happen. I don't know. But you should pray for them to emerge openly, because that's just, in general, it'll be a good thing for you guys, believe me, for the world. Okay, let's see. Keep fighting the good fight. That's it. Russia, okay. All right. Well, guys, I guess that's what I got for today. So please pray for me and my wife for our peace, safety, protection, joy. Pray for healing of our bodies, and we always need that. Pray for our finances, and pray for our animals and pets that are all rescues to be happy, healthy, and whole, and keep your spiritual warfare going. I think you're probably aware of the fact that the amount of pressure and weariness on you is now diminished in the last several days. So keep praying, keep doing your spiritual warfare. And why don't you start asking the Lord if there are people that you could reach out to with the true gospel? Why don't you ask Him and see what you get? You may be surprised. Ask the Lord how you can help other people, to teach you and show you how to help other people, and find people you can help. And part of that could be with the true gospel. It could be in other areas. They would be spiritual, I think, but it could be in other areas as well. Maybe not so spiritual. I don't know. And, keep up your spiritual warfare. It's just going to improve things for you all the time. Okay? It doesn't matter what targets you go after. Just go after a bunch of targets every day. That's all you got to do. So pray we get more insights into the scriptures, and pray for the peace of Jerusalem. And I send my shalom to all those who love Yeshua HaMashiach, and I'm out. And I think what's going on here with the shorter videos is God is beginning to wean you off of the videos. That's my hunch, okay? So they're getting shorter, and they might get shorter again, I don't know. But you can always, if there is no more broadcast, there's no more internet or something like that, you always can turn to Him, the Father God Jehovah. You don't need me, you have Him. He's always been there for you. You don't need me, you have Him. Maybe I'm easy and convenient and He used me, but maybe it's coming to the time where you need to be closer to Him. Think about it. I'm out. Thanks.